Still rolling with the Wattles, early September 2025. Just trying to get out and grab as many flowering ones as I can. This is a really interesting one. I'm at Oatley Park in the Georges River Council area in Sydney, sort of the south of Sydney. If you've never checked out Oatley Park, it's a pretty cool precinct to check out on the Georges River. Plenty of sandstone bushland to have a look at. Plenty of recreation and bike riding as well if you're keen for that. It's a beautiful park to ride a bike through. I've known that this wattle has been here for a while. It's a bit of a confusing one just in terms of how it's regarded because it naturalises as well. But this is Acacia prominens. This is a Gosford Wattle. And just the video I made the other day on Acacia fimbriata, I was a bit worried the phyllodes were looking a bit too fat for fimbriata, but we can see on this one that I'm a bit more comfortable now because these are well and truly wider than what we were observing on the fimbriata video at Lucas Heights, which I only made I think last week or the week before. So Acacia prominens, it has a very small range in New South Wales. It's known to grow from sort of the north of Sydney, or basically the Sydney sort of area, north into the Hunter Valley to about the Sandy Hollow area. I was just looking up a location called something like Barami Creek, I think. It just gets into that area, but then there's some naturalisations in Victoria. So it looks like it's gone weedy in Victoria. But otherwise, it's from Sydney into the Hunter Valley, and the populations of Acacia prominens in the Cogra and Hurstville area, and that's now Georges River Council, they're regarded as an endangered population. So they've been listed as an endangered population. And the plants at Oatley Park, they're sort of one of the no pun intended, they're some of the more prominent ones that are known to be part of the endangered population. They just seem to be growing on the edge of the bushland in a lot of cases. We've got some Hawkesbury sandstone vegetation down here. We've got like Corymbia gymifera and Gosford costata around. And it just seems a bit strange to me that the trees are sort of growing right on the edge. So whether they're naturalisations or whether they're part of the community, I've sort of, my money would be on they're sort of naturalisations, but they are regarded here as an endangered population. Their habitat's described as wet sclerophyll forest where you find them. I reckon that would be in the Gosford sort of Newcastle area, I reckon, and then maybe around Arimba and places like those sort of areas where you do get a bit of rainforest and wet sclerophyll forest. That's where you'd probably find them. In the Sandy Hollow Denman area, you're probably getting them on creek lines I reckon on sandy soil. And maybe they're in sort of shaded gullies in that area. I haven't really seen them around Sandy Hollow or Denman or towards Merriwa there. I guess they're probably growing on creek lines, but they are described as being in wet sclerophyll. I've seen an article on Australian Plant Society where Lloyd Hedges, who I know well, he's talking about them at Lucas Heights, and I've seen them in deep bushland in Lucas Heights too. But even there, they seem to be naturalised. And I think Lloyd's saying they're on Menai Creek. And if they're not naturalisations, if they are meant to be there, then Sutherland Shire Council should also be recognising them as an endangered population. But Lloyd thinks they're weedy. And I don't know, here at Oatley Park, I sort of think they might be, weedy as well. I think they might be, but they're a good one to have a look at. So they're a phyllodeal one. They're another phyllodeal one with flowers in globular heads. This one's a pretty big one. They do get to, I think they're described as being to 18 metres tall. So they're a nice big genuine wattle. Here's the trunk. Nice and smooth. This trunk's about 25 centimetres across. It's a pretty big one. I'd say it's been here for a long time. A lot of root system. It's a nice big tree. not really any bark I can pull off, and it's sort of got these nice little white lichens on it. They're definitely lichens on this guy. Yeah, lichens are really interesting. They rock up on a lot of plants. Meant to be a, what is it, a photosynthetic bacteria and a fungus living together, I think. So they're quite cool, but there's plenty on this tree. So it's a nice big beastie. I think the phyllodes, they're allowed to be up to about, I think it's 6 centimetres long by 12 mil wide. That's about the dimensions. So 60 mil by 12 mil. They're a nice bluey green colour. They're nice and soft to touch. They're not sort of rigid. They've got a really soft, papery feel. Quite nice to rub through your hands. And we did see this on Fimbriata, but we'll see it on prominens as well. It's called prominens because of the really prominent gland on the phylode. And there it is there. You just got this really prominent gland. It's making a real pinch into the margin, or it's got a second one there as well. It's got 2 glands on the leaves. I've just had to move trees because a whole bunch of school kids has rocked up. That's all right. It's my luck with people continues. Yeah, so again, they're here on the edge of a sports field. Yeah, just hard to sort of be really concrete that they belong here. But they are beautiful. There's a whole stand of them here. They're putting on a really good show. On the websites, the phyllodes are only described as having 1 gland, but I thought I saw 2 on that leaf, which I've got in my hand here somewhere. I just thought I saw a second gland, but just take that with a bit of a good pinch of salt because they're only described as having 1 gland, and it's very prominent. And again, you can see it there, just so prominent on the margin there. Now I look, they're looking very different to Fimbriata. They're a lot wider on this particular guy, 12 mil wide, I think. Some of these look like they might be a little bit wider than 12 mil. But that's about the distance. Just note the mucro there as well. There's a mucro on the top of the phyllodes. Just check another one. Yeah, see that really prominent mucro just at the tip of the leaf there, that callous bit of tissue. It's almost like off-centered too. It's not really in the center of the leaf. It's a bit moved to the side. So really obvious glands, really obvious mucro. And then you got these beautiful flowers. Now the globular heads, I think they're in up to groups of 25 on axes about 8 centimetres long. So if we get just one individual unit, yeah, that's 1 spray, 1 raceme of globular heads, and I think it can be up to 8 centimetres long with about 25 heads on each individual axes. So it's putting them together in a nice show, but if I pulled that off, that would be 1 unit. And you can see the heads there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 12 on that one. So you can get a big range. I think they say anywhere from 8 to 25 heads, something like that. The flowers are 5 morus, 5 petals. What we discovered in the last workshop, I just keep throwing in these tidbits. Some wattles have a perianth of 4 segments, petals and sepals, and some have 5. There are some that have 4. And Acacia longifolia, I got the flowers under the microscope and I could see the 4 petals on the flowers. That's one species that's known for having 4. So the more you look, the more you discover. So they're a nice bright yellow colour. I'd call them a lemon yellow on my spectrum. They'd be that lemon yellow to not quite cream, but light to lemon yellow. They do vary a bit on the one plant. You can have sort of really pale flowers and then you get deeper lemon ones, but there's not really any going, I'd say, over to the dark side, over to the darker golden tones. So pretty easy to grow, pretty easy to identify. And like I said, treated as an endangered population here in Oatley. I'm struggling to believe it, but that's just the way it is at the moment. Maybe some people have done a lot more investigation than me, but look, if it's endangered and they need to be kept, hopefully that's a good ecological decision. They are a beautiful plant. They're a beautiful plant to look at. Just going to look at some of the other ones down here as well. If I go off this sports field and down this batter slope, you can see it's a modified environment. We've just got some other ones here. So it might be one you avoid in the garden because just of their size. I'd say they get pretty big pretty quickly. This one here, yeah, is pushing about 8 metres, like that Acacia prominens I did the other day. Just got a nice pale brown trunk. Yeah, they are beautiful. It's a beautiful wattle. It's probably one of the nicest ones you could have as a specimen, I would say. And if I get on here onto the cycling track, it's a beautiful day here today. There's a beautiful one there. There's this glorious one here just on the edge of the track. That's another one. And they're here. See, they're always on the edge of the bushlands. Oh, this is looking like Fimbriata, this one. Look at this one here. It's gone back to Fimbriata. So, oh, gee, this one looks like an intergrade to me. An intergrade of Fimbriata and prominens. I think they are known to intergrade, but that one is looking very Fimbriata. These ones over here look very prominens. Gee, with the naked eye, they're very similar. But that's got a bit of Fimbriata influence, that one. So how interesting is that? But when you look down the genuine sandstone gully, which starts there, beautiful bushland, I can't really see a lot of Acacia prominens through that. They're just here on the edge. So might just have to leave it there. But here's another, what's looking like Fimbriata. That totally looks like Fimbriata. And here's prominens. Yeah, very different foliage. It's a much more green in Fimbriata. It's a much more bluey green in prominens. But anyway, I'll leave it there. But that's a beautiful wattle, easy to get familiar with. Just note it doesn't have a very big range in Sydney. Be nice to see them in their more natural habitat, which if I was going to go hunting, I'd sort of be going north west of Gosford and trying to pick them up in some wet sclerophyll habitat.